Continuing with our lesson on solid mensuration, the second section of Unit 1 or Unit 2, this is already the first section of Unit 2, will now be on solids. So we will now be looking at three-dimensional figures. In the first unit, we have considered plane figures. We have considered the areas of those plane figures. And why did we discuss Unit 1? Because we will now be using those formulas as we consider volumes. And particularly for Unit 2, we will be having solids wherein the volume is just equivalent to base times height. So when we talk about the base, this is now referring to the area of the base. Okay? And then when we talk about the height, this will now be the perpendicular uh, height of or the perpendicular distance of the base from the top section of our solid. Okay. So normally when we talk about solids with formula or with volume base times height, these are the solids that are more referred to as the right solid. So when we say right solid, when we put it on a plane surface, the edges, so like in this diagram, look at this diagram, a cube is a right solid. When we put the base on a plane uh, area, then these sections here, or the height, will be perpendicular to your plane surface. Okay. Now, the shortcut for to remember the formula for figures like this is just get the area of the base and then consider the height of the figure. Now, let's look at this application. Find the largest volume and total area of the largest cube. So we need two things here. We need to solve for the largest volume, and we need to look at the total area of that largest cube that we can cut from this log. Wherein the circular cross section is 12.7 inches. This is the cross section. Radius is 12.7 inches. So if we would like to maximize the wood, we will now be considering the cube wherein the cross section we have the corners or the vertices being uh, located on the circumference of the circle. Or this, in this case, square is inscribed in our circle. So pag tinignan kasi natin tab unit nito, we have a square inscribed in a circle. So if we want now to get first the volume, according to the formula, we have the volume is base times the height. Okay. So if this is also a cube, it's a fact that these are the edges. Diba? So this is an edge E, this is an edge E, this is also an edge E. So pareho yung length niyan. Therefore, if you will now consider the area of the base, the area of the base is E squared, that's a square, and then the height apparently is also equal to E. Okay, because the volume of a cube is h cube. So this is just a cube. But how do we now get the value of E? So to get the value of E, this is 12.7. So if you will isolate the square there, that's a square that you have. That's the center of the circle. This section here is the 12.7. This is 12.7. This is your E. So if you want to continue with this line, this is also 12.7. And this is also E. And what did we form? We have a right triangle, which means if we want now to solve for E, we have the Pythagorean theorem, 12.7 plus 12.7, that will be 25.4. 25.4 squared equals E squared plus E squared. Okay? And then you have 2E squared is 25.4 squared, or E squared will be 25.4 squared divided by 2. Or E will now be the square root of 25.4 squared all over 2. So you can easily compute the value of E from this equation. Whatever value of E you get there, substitute it here, then you're done with the volume. Next example. We have two aquariums are connected. Sorry, there's one more thing that we need to solve here. We also need to get the total area. So if you want now to get the total area for this one before we proceed with the next problem, total area will now be get the area of all the surfaces. But since this is a cube, we have 6 equal surfaces. So total area will be 6 times area of one face. That will be E squared. Okay? So E squared is already here. E squared is already here. You can compute E squared here. Then just substitute E squared in this formula. Then you get the total area. So let's proceed now with the next problem. Two aquariums are connected by a small square prism. Find the volume of the double aquarium. So volume, we are looking at the total space that we have here. So if you will look at this figure, we have two square prisms. Actually, these are the square prisms. One square prism. This is another square prism. But it is these are the aquariums. But these two aquariums is connected by a small prism, which is this prism here. So if you want now to get the volume of the double aquarium, we get it's called a rectangular parallelepiped. So we get the area of the rectangular parallelepiped, but there are two rectangular parallelepipeds plus this area here, plus area of the connecting prism, this small area here. Okay. Area of parallelepiped, again, if you don't know the formula, it's a right solid. You get the area of the base multiplied by the height. So this must be 3 feet also because you have a square base. Therefore, the area of the rectangular parallelepiped is area of base, that's 3 times 4, right? That's 3 times 4 multiplied by the height, which is also equal to 3. And then you multiply this by 2. So you now have the volume of the aquariums. But how about our our connecting prism? What do we know about the connecting prism? This is 1 foot. This is also 1 foot. This is 2 feet. So it's also a rectangular parallelepiped, which means if you will now get the area of that, so parang lalabas, rectangular parallelepiped, if you will try to redraw this, may pag ganun yan, perpendicular, Pag ganyan. Tuloy natin, the diagram will now look something like this. So, rectangular parallelepiped. So with the base, we have 2 by 1. So that's 2 rectangular. You get the area of the rectangular base. You have 2 feet by 2 times 1. And then the height is also 1. Diba? Rectangular parallelepiped din. So you get the area of the base. It's a rectangular base, 2 by 1. Then the height is 1 foot. Okay? So there you have it. So rectangular base, 2 by 1. And then the height is 1. So just compute. This will now be 2 times 12 times 3 plus 2 times 1 times 1 is just equal to 2. So just compute. That will now give you the total volume. And if it's volume, it must be cubic units. And then this is cubic feet. Final answer. So please, for all your final answers, the unit of measurement is very essential. Do not forget that. One more problem that I have chosen from your notes. We have this problem. I don't remember what number exactly is this in your module. But anyway, we have a trough. So that's pronounced as trough, T-R-O-F. A trough, or in Tagalog, that's lulod. Yung tanan ng tubig, ng ulan, parang gano'n, lulod. A trough is formed by nailing together edge to edge two boards 11 feet long. So 11 feet long, these are the boards nailed together. Dito siya na nail together so that the right section is a right triangle. So sabi doon, this is a right triangle. This forms a 90-degree angle. So if 15 gallons of water, so the water place here is 15 gallons, poured through into the trough, and the trough is held level so that the right section of water is an isosceles triangle. So this is an isosceles triangle. So we have here an isosceles triangle. How deep is the water? So how deep is the water? Lalim yung tubig dito. Dito yung titingnan natin. Since this is an isosceles triangle, this must be perpendicular. Then this will be the height of the water. Okay. So how do we apply the formula? So if this is now a right solid, ang gagawin natin, imagine like a box of a Toblerone. Itong triangular na section na to, yan yung itatayo natin sa surface. So yan ay magiging base. So that the volume will be area of triangular base multiplied by the height, which is 11 feet. So parang itataob natin. Pero huwag natin itataobin kasi matatapon yung tubig. Anyway, just to be able to apply the formula, we look at volume is base. So the base here is our isosceles triangle times the height, which is 11. And ano ba yung hinahanap ulit dito? Yung height ng water, which is h. So yung h is actually the altitude of the isosceles triangle. So if that's an isosceles triangle, let's just isolate that. That's 90 degrees. Ito yung h. So ito will be 45. This will be 45 degrees. Okay? So that will be h. Pero ang binigay kasi rito is alam yung binigay ngayon dito yung volume ng water, which is 15 gallons. Look at this. Binigay yung volume ng water, 15 gallons, and the conversion is here. So it means the total volume is 15 gallons, which can be converted 15 gallons, which can be converted 15 gallons. So convert natin to 15 gallons. Conversion factor, 1 gallon is to 231 cubic inches. Therefore, this will cancel out. We will be able to get the volume of the water in cubic inches. In cubic inches. So, kung alam na natin yung volume dito, di ba, 15 gallons, yung area ng triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. The base, this one, this is now your base B, times your height H, times 11 feet. Okay. So, pag nag-compute kayo, syempre ito naka-cubic inches na. Naka-cubic inches. So, just get the value here. Kung ano man yung nakuha mong value rito. Inject mo rito. Equals 1/2 BH times, convert also ito. 11 feet in inches. So, conversion factor, 1 foot is 12 inches. So that will cancel out. So this is 11 times 12. So whatever value you get there, that's 120 plus 12 is 132. It's 132 inches. So at least naka-cubic inches na to. Ito, inches. So problema natin ngayon is yung base, yung itong value pa ni B. So, paano natin kukunin ngayon yung value ni B? But since this is 45 degrees, so ibig sabihin 45 degrees din to. So kung 45 degrees by 45 degrees, this is an isosceles triangle. So this must also be H. Kasi isosceles yung lumabas di ba? 45, 45. So ibig sabihin H and H din yan. So kung H and H din yan, ang total natin dito ngayon, yung B is 2H. Therefore, ayusin natin yung magiging value rito. So, ano yung B natin? B natin is 2H. So, final result will now be, kung ano yung value mo rito, cubic inches equals 1/2. B is 2H, okay, times H times 132 inches. So, 2 and 2 will cancel out. That will be H squared. O yun, substitute na kayo value. Substitute the value here equals H squared times 132 inches. Okay? There you have it. Therefore, your H squared will now be, kung ano man yung value doon, I did not compute it. I don't have my calculator with me right now. That's in cubic inches divided by 132 inches. So, pag titingnan nyo, cubic inches kasi ito, di ba? So, magiging, pag nag-cancel yung inches and inches, magiging square inches. H squared yan. Pag nag-extract kayo ng square root, magiging inches na lang. Okay? Therefore, H will now be the square root of whatever value you have here. So, there you have it for the third example. So there are still some solved problems in your module. Guys, this problem is already in your module. This is already solved. So just get the values there. At least, tinignan lang natin yung analysis. So paano ulit ginawa natin analysis dito? Ito yung ginawa nating base, yung triangular base. Tapos ginawa nating height, yung 11. So parang pinatayo natin. Sabi ko nga kanina, parang imagine you have a Toblerone chocolate. Tayo nyo yung Toblerone chocolate sa table. Yung triangular section ang magiging base and then yun yung magiging height. Diba? So there you have it. So basta itong section na to, we're dealing with volumes, right solids. So pag right solid, pinakamadaling intindihin na formula, it's base times height. Ano yung base? Area ng base. So ano yung base? Depende. Depende. Depende kung ano yung makikita yung figure sa base. Doon papasok ngayon yung lesson number 1 ng finals, yung area ng plane surface, and then multiplied by the height. Okay? So there you have it. I'll be proceeding with the next unit in the next video.